of respect for you guys showing up on time.
And got it recording and everything.
Yes.
Nice.
So we got a big crowd here at our offices at AAGM Lithtec. So we're going to try and keep this to probably 45 minutes, definitely not more than an hour. We should be able to get everything done. There's about 10 participants right now, plus everybody here. So we'll go ahead and get started. Lou's coming. Oh, right. Good deal. The star of the show showed up, which is great.
Just right there, Lou.
Come on in. Sit down.
Sit, boy.
Okay, so for any of you on the line that don't know me, my name is Mel Silva, and I'm the business development official for AAGM and AAGM Lithtec. And so we just wanted to put together something where we could be as much support to the BDRs as possible. And so that's our goal today, is we want to try and help set goals, let you know how we're going to be able to support you, offer you an opportunity to let us know what you think you're missing so that we can provide that. And then we're going to have a few people clear up some mysteries that are out there. And also we're going to have Lou talk about, sales and closing deals. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Johnny Valdez for a moment. He's our CEO, to tell us whatever he wants to say.
Right on. Well, thank you, everybody. I appreciate everyone coming in and taking the time to go through this. When we look at what we're doing here, we have a completely different way of operating. I have what we call shared service. So we have this parent company, AAGM Lithtec, which is going to provide support to multiple states. I want to thank all of our ownership who is here, and many of our investors are here as well as several investors who are BDRs, and we appreciate all of you and all that you do for us. As we start building this company and you recognize what we're really about, it's to try and do exactly what Mel was saying, is support the team to be able to get you in front of people as much as possible and try to support you doing that, not just give you an assignment and then just let you go off and run over wherever you want to go. That's fine if it works, but for the most part, the best thing is if we can create some leads for you, we can get you out into the field. It's going to help us all move along pretty quickly here. So we really appreciate you guys stepping in and taking the time to learn a little bit about what we're doing, and we appreciate your time. Thanks.
Okay, is Bob on? Bob, are you here somewhere? Okay, maybe not. He might have got hung up. Bob Sherwin, the CEO of Lithtec Technologies, was gonna. What's that?
Revenue officer.
Yeah. So we'll just when he pops on here, we'll let him say a few words. So you can go ahead, Daniel. Go to the next. We'll go ahead and let Lou. Lou, I'm going to change places with you, so you can talk to these folks.
Okay. Well, am I looking here? Right there. Okay. Well, good morning, all. My name is Lou Webb. I'm going to talk to you all about a little bit about sales, not going to give some big long presentation, but I'm sure all of you have some experience with sales. My background is the car business, in the retail automobile industry in Southern California was my career. And so that's kind of where I come from. First, in my opinion, the single most important thing about being a successful salesman is, or salesperson, I guess you're supposed to say these days, is that you must believe 100% in your product or your service. That is of the top 3 points of sales, that is 1 through 3. If you believe in your product, in your service, you will have a confidence walking into any appointment, any sales encounter, and it will make it an easy experience. That doesn't mean that you close every sale, but if you don't, it's not because you didn't have the right product or service to sell. If you don't believe in the product, don't sell it. I remember when I was selling cars, I was a line salesman. Every person I walked out and met on that lot, this is going to sound silly, but I pictured a $500 bill on their forehead. And because they represented my income, they were there, they were my opportunity at that moment. I believed in my product, and I did my best to show them the value of that product and believed that it was the right thing for them to do. I believed that 100%. Back in the day, I was selling Toyotas, and I believed it was the best mass-produced car on the market at that time. So anybody that came was looking for a car, I felt that they would be best served in a Toyota. I really believed that. So it made my job quite easy. So, knowing your product or service inside and out, while you're believing in it, you just transfer that to your customer. They will sense your belief in what you're selling. And if you're giving them honest information, good data about your product or service, you're doing everything you can to help that individual or that company. And that's important to believe that what you're doing is the best thing for them. As far as closing a deal, just be confident. Be confident and believe in what you're doing, and that it's the right thing for the customer. And then once you've presented your case, confidently ask for the sale, ask for the deal. That's actually easy. And a lot of salespeople, in my opinion, get bogged down there. They get fearful of the moment that they have to ask for the check or ask for the agreement or the signature or handshake or whatever it is. That's the easy part, because you've presented a case of something that you believe in. You believe it's the best thing for them. If you don't try to sell it to them. But since you do, asking for the business is the easy part. And don't be afraid to ask for that. I always made the assumption that, and you've heard the term assumed close, I always made the assumption that the individual that I was selling to was going to say yes. It kind of surprised me when someone didn't say, I'll take it. So just have that confidence. And one final thing. Let's see. Don't sell past the close. Once someone agrees, you're done selling. Now you go into the process of doing the documentation or the process that you need to do to finish that sale. I'm going to give you a quick story about selling past the close and how I learned that. I was just a car salesman. I was in my 20s, and it was the last day of the month, and I needed to sell one used car to hit about a $3,000 bonus for that month. And back in the 80s, $3,000 was a lot of money. And I had some people. It was late at night. We closed at 9 o'clock. It was about 10:45 at night, and they were still there, and they were on a black Suburban, Chevy Suburban. And we finally consummated the deal. It was a husband and wife, and they said, okay, we'll take it. And that was great. And I walked out to get their paperwork done at the sales desk to bring it back in so that they could go to F&I, to finance and insurance, to sign their documents. And and I said to him, I said that when I started to walk out of the office, I said, isn't that Suburban going to look great in your garage? The wife got a funny look on her face, and she looked at her husband and said, honey, is this going to fit in our garage? Bottom line is, they did not consummate the deal that night. They came back the next day and consummated the deal, which was the first day of the month. I missed out on that $3,000 bonus. And that was how I learned, don't sell past the close. Once someone says, we'll take it, that's it. So
Take yes for an answer.
take yes for yes. Have fun. Sales is the best job in the world because it's new. Every single customer, everyone's different. Every scenario is different. And that to me keeps it interesting and fun. So have fun.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Is Walter up next? Is Walter on the line?
Sure.
Walter, are you here? Could you unmute if you're?
Yes.
Are?
Yes. Can you hear me? Hello.
We can barely hear you, Walter.
Yeah, I'm in the airport. Let me see if I can change this over.
So
Microphone.
while Walter's getting his microphone figured out there, there were a few of the BDRs that were kind of struggling with the idea of, how do we sell this? And there are some times when Lithtec maybe isn't the cheapest thing. I mean, if you pull up the website,
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you better now. So if you pull up Lithified Technologies website, it'll.
Is that better?
Yes, that's better. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Okay. Yes.
Okay, I'm just trying to set you up here.
Go ahead.
Walter.
Go ahead.
So there's a little bit of confusion when you say, okay, is lithified technology always the cheapest way to go? And, that's just not true. There are times when it isn't the cheapest. Now, on Lithified's website, the first thing it says is, fixing America's crumbling roads at a fraction of the price. And in many cases, that's exactly what it is. But the one thing that we want to be very clear about is that, you're going to go into the field and represent us. Our integrity and our word and our name as a company, that's all we have. That's what we're selling. And if we go out there and because we're not knowledgeable, or God forbid, you'll be looking for a different job, you're saying things that aren't true in order to sell this, we're going to have an issue. But there is a little confusion there. And so I was talking with Walter the other day, and he put it in such a succinct way, more so than anybody I had ever talked to at Lithified, to help me understand when we need to transition from being the cheapest to being the most reliable and the most long lasting. And in that case, we still will save you money over the long run, but upfront, sometimes we can't save you money. So Walter, with that being said, would you kind of explain when those situations happen that we're not necessarily going to be the cheapest on the
Sure,
block?
sure, absolutely. The idea in road building is that most conventional road construction policies or types are 4,000 years old. The cheapest type of road to build is just a gravel road that's constantly paved with gravel and graded on a regular basis. We call them dirt roads. The most expensive type of road is a concrete road. A concrete road is solid concrete from the base up to the usable surface. And in between a dirt road and a concrete road, the most commonly used type of road is a asphalt topped road, which is placed over a base course. Base course is a mixture usually of sand and gravel, generally speaking. May have some clay in it, but that base becomes the foundation for the top, which is the asphalt. And when we look at Lithtec, you imagine us taking that base course, which is a movable material. Gravel will shift, it will grind down with weight and movement over time. The sand can move and drift away from underneath the road. Under the base course is basically deteriorating. So as that base course fails and deteriorates and changes structure, the material on top of it, which is asphalt, will move. It'll start to split, crack. Water gets in there. You get freeze-thaw cycles. You have all of these complications which result in deterioration from the bottom and from the top. In a concrete road, it functions very differently. Concrete roads generally, if they're constructed properly, have very little cracking because they're held together by massive amounts of rebar and steel holding the concrete together, so they stay as a single solid piece. What is done in most concrete roads is that they treat the surface, they prepare the surface by grooving it for water to run off and allow for traction. So the purpose of asphalt is for traction. The purpose for a grooved cement highway is for traction. That in time wears out on a cement highway and you lose traction. It's very expensive to re-groove the highway. As well as it's very hard on tires. It's a very rough ride compared to asphalt. Asphalt is a pliable material, so you tend to have a more cushiony ride, less wear on tires. So the majority of roads in America are generally an asphalt road, except where there's exceptions where asphalt does not hold up structurally well enough that they must use concrete. Where does Lithtec fit into this? We fit into the middle of asphalt and concrete because we're not a two-part material like an asphalt road is base course and asphalt, and we're not a one-part material where the base is the top, which is what concrete is. Concrete being the most expensive, you have to ask yourself, is Lithtec cheaper than an asphalt road? And the answer is yes, and the answer is no. And the reason why is that we become a secondary solution to rebuilding an asphalt road, more so than us being a primary solution of building a brand new road. Not that we cannot, but the cost for building a brand new road and reconditioning or rebuilding a used road is completely different. So the cost of, when you use the word asphalt road, are you building a brand new road? Or are you trying to reconstruct a existing asphalt road? And the level of reconstruction in an existing asphalt road can be as full and complete as removal of all asphalt and all base course material, going back down to your native or in situ material, and rebuilding it as a new road. The difference between building a new road and rebuilding completely an asphalt road is that the cost of taking away the old material adds to the cost of that road, which you do not have in the construction of a new road. So actually rebuilding a complete rebuild of an asphalt road is more expensive than building a fresh asphalt road from the beginning. But because Lithtec is such a unique product, we have an ability to take that material, both the asphalt and the base course, and grind it up into a small enough material that it will now become the base for Lithtec's product to function as similarly to concrete. So when you grind up that road small enough into small enough material, you now have the base for Lithtec to be applied, and it becomes as solid as a solid concrete road. That is the value difference. Now the cost difference can be substantial in a road. Our cost for Lithtec can double from 3% to 5%. That's the percentages that we generally talk about. Lithtec roads containing a 3% mixture or 5% mixture. Obviously, 5% is almost double of 3%. So the cost of the Lithtec product in the road could double. You do not know that as a salesman. You have no idea how much Lithtec material it's going to take. And if you quote somebody, oh, it costs about $160,000 for a 24-foot wide, mile-long road of Lithtec, that's based on an average of 3%. Well, you may have just misquoted that person by another $120,000. And they'll hold you to that. So you never want to quote price specifically to somebody. It is the biggest mistake that you can make in our business. And also the additional cost of building that road depend on the contractor, who may have to go in there, and when he's grinding up that road, it's called reclamation. We talk about full depth of reclamation. We're talking about going as deep as necessary and grinding up all that material to put in a solid Lithtec base. So if we have 8 inches of Lithtec that's needed, and you have 4 inches of asphalt, you have to go dig in 4 inches into the base course and grind up 4 inches of base course and 4 inches of existing asphalt to be able to have 8 inches of material. But when you finish the road, you're not going to have an 8-inch thick road. You're going to have a 6.5-inch thick road because of compaction. Because Lithtec is all about compaction. Our product works well because we compact tighter than any other process, including cement. So if a road constructor goes into a road and he has material that requires him to pass over that road twice or even 3 times with his milling machine, his cost is going up $50,000 to $100,000 per mile every time he mills that road. So if he mills that road 3 times just getting the material prepped for Lithtec, and now he has to go 12 inches deep instead of 8 inches because they want an 8-inch deep, road, finished depth, 8 inches. You're talking about him doing 12-inch full depth reclamation. Just that one machine tearing up the road is going to cost $300,000 to $400,000 per mile. Now you prepped it for Lithtec to go in. Are we putting 3%? Are we putting 5%? So now all of a sudden that road becomes a $250,000 of Lithtec because it's a 5% mix. So you've got $650,000 in that road before you've ever bladed it, compacted it, put the top coated asphalt on it. So that road could become a $1 million per mile road, but it's going to perform like a cement road at $1.3 million. So you're much higher than an asphalt road, but you're definitely lower than a cement road. So in that circumstance that I just described to you, you cannot make a statement that we cost less than an asphalt road to build initially. Where the savings come in and the value is that longevity of the road and the longevity of the surface material. It doesn't wear and break apart as quickly when it's on a solid base. So you can imagine that if you took a cement road that is solid for decades and you put asphalt on top of it, which is a very rare occasion because it's just added expense, that asphalt will last 5 to 10 times longer on a cement base than it would on a base course base, because cement is solid, it doesn't move. Lithtec is solid, it doesn't move. So we are taking the best of both worlds. We are making a solid base, and then we are taking and putting a pliable top for traction on top of our base, and we're still below a cement road, generally speaking. But once you do that, you have what is almost a perfect road, because a perfect road is one that lasts forever. All right. So when you talk about what Lithtec is, you have to focus on selling them the value of our product before you get to price. Price is the last thing, and I don't know if Lou will confer with me. I'm going to make you fall in love with this Rolls Royce before I tell you the price. If you come in here and tell me I have $10,000 to spend, he's going to take you to the little old Vega in the back, and he's not going to take you to the Rolls Royce because he knows you can't even afford it. So there's qualifying a customer in addition, and you have counties with budgets. So it's very important that you do not try to say we are the cheapest product. For the use, for the longevity, we become the cheapest product, but not up front. Just like buying a car that has a 1 million mile warranty. You pay more up front, but you don't bother with that car because every time there's a problem, it's covered for the next 1,000,000 miles. Or you go to pay cheap for a car, and anytime it breaks very often, you're stuck with the bill. So we need to make sure that we understand technically as salespeople enough about how roads are constructed and what would be the mitigating factors potentially that would cause us to use more Lithtec than 3%, and what would potentially be the problems in the road where the road constructor is going to have to do additional work to prepare the material. Because there could even be a case where it is cheaper to pull the existing material out and haul it away, which is an expensive cost of hauling, and put down brand new material that is better functioning for Lithtec. All right, and that becomes the decision of the lab. The lab is going to give them a recommendation of saying the material you have in here currently is very undesirable, and if you took it out and brought in other material that is more desirable and more compatible with Lithtec products, it may end up costing you less money in the long run. So those are the things that as a salesman, you need to have those skills to be able to sell the product. And once you convince somebody that we have a road that performs like a concrete road with an asphalt surface, which is ideally the best type of road, solid base, cushiony, soft top, and we can do that for less money, then the issue of it being maybe potentially more expensive than just a new built or a reconditioned asphalt road. And they accept the cost because you have demonstrated to them that the quality in the construction is far superior. And my advice to you is sell quality before the price. Price then becomes acceptable and palatable even to people with tight budgets when they realize that they're getting 3 times more for their money. And that's the objective of what we need to do as salespeople. If you go in just trying to say it's half the cost of cement and a third of the cost of or whatever, or 70% of the cost of asphalt, and it doesn't come out that way, you have a very unhappy customer because you fixed something in his mind that he no longer believes in. And so it's real important.
So a better way to say, to put this out there, and obviously price is always in the front of a lot of people's minds. So we do have situations, we have actual roads where this did happen. And so it's better to present it like, in this case, we were able to bring this road that was 1.3 million. We were able to bring it in, at $276,000. Okay, we have those possibilities, but I think what Walter's trying to get at here is that isn't always the case. And we need to let them know that it's not always the case, but it's always the case that we're going to leave you with a better road that's going to last longer. And we just have to hope that we can do it cheaper, but that's all up to the lab to tell us that kind of thing. So thank you, Walter. I appreciate that explanation. I think everybody has a good idea of that. I think we ran through our sales things. Let's jump back to Bob. Bob is here now. Just give him a chance to say a couple of words to everybody. Are you there, Bob? I mean, yeah. Bob.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Glad that you're all having a chance to meet each other and a chance to continue to learn more from the different people that come into the mix. Just want to say one thing regarding AAGM. Really grateful to have them on board. They are moving very quickly to acquire a number of states and to very professionally build a BDR team that can help us grow across the country. Walter also has got some great not only experience in the road construction industry and being able to bid out these jobs and understand, you know, some of the variables that come into this, but as a salesperson, he's also got some great momentum working with people on the East Coast. And so I think that will help the company to continue to grow and expand. You know, with regard to dosages and these types of things that we're talking about with regard to each project. I don't know that we've actually ever even done a 5% job, maybe at Rio Tinto. But typically with base course, it's 3 or 4%. And that's part of the beauty of this product is that in base course material, 2.5 or 3% dosage of Lithtec is equivalent to 6% of soil cement. And, you know, while we're on this topic, a lot of you have heard me say this before, but you don't want to get into a cost per ton conversation. That's the wrong way to present this to your prospects, because, you know, Lithtec is going to be between $750 and $900 a ton, depending on the volume or the percentage that we're putting in. Like when we get to a 4% dosage, we'll drop the price to $750 a ton, just so we don't lose the customer based on cost. It's better to have a road that we know is going to overperform and still be cost competitive. But when you compare it just on a cost per ton basis to cement, which is, you know, $150 to $200 a ton, on the surface we look like we are a lot more money than cement, which per ton we are. But when you factor in 3 different things, one is that cement typically is doing 12 to 16 inches in depth, when we are typically 6 to 8 inches in depth. So now you're doubling the dosage a second time. So let's say that we're achieving the same strength at 3% that soil cement is achieving it at 6%. We're already half the dosage, but when you go half the depth, you're cutting that back a second time in half. So we're a quarter of the amount of product that's going in. And the reason that cement goes 12 to 16 inches in the depth is they're trying to get more ductility in the depth of the installation, where we have double, triple, quadruple. I've seen it as high as 7 times the ductility of cement, depending on the dosage that we're being compared to. So with cement, no matter what the price is, they can't achieve the ductility that we have in our formulation. And the ductility really is a reflective number to the amount of cracking that soil cement is going to cause in the asphalt. And that's why, again, you hear this all the time in my webinars, for those of you that are attending the webinars, but the microfracturing creates the openings for water to get into. It also reduces the amount of strength that you have. So if you start out at 400 unconfined compressive strength, which is the highest that the Portland Cement Association recommends for cement, because the more you put in, the more brittle it is. By the time you microfracture it, you're probably down to 250 strength, and you've created all the openings for water to get into. So again, in understanding our product and being able to communicate this to our customers, Lithtec's going to be 400 to 800 psi unconfined compressive strength, and in terms of resilient modulus, we're going to take it up to 500,000 psi modulus, which is now the strength of asphalt, which now enables, through value engineering, to reduce the pavement design. And when you can go from a 4 or 6 inch pavement design down to 2 inches, then you've just saved a tremendous amount of money to the entire project. So, when you look at pricing it on a cost per square yard, that is a better way of presenting it to your customer instead of a cost per ton. One other really important thing is our cost per ton includes all of the geotechnical, all the pre-testing, the customization for the formula, and for the installation, supervision, and quality control and quality assurance during the installation. Cement doesn't include any of those things. So they got to go hire a third-party geotech and do all the testing, and that number also needs to be added into the total number to really have an apples to apples conversation. So these are things that you need to understand, and why you really don't want to get into just cost per ton conversation. Keep it into a cost per square yard, and the savings that we can bring through the not just the reduction in the pavement design, but we can reduce the import and export, and oftentimes our experience of a full depth lithification compared to a full depth reclamation project, FDR, that's more of the standard, because they're hauling away that ground up asphalt to a recycle plant or to a landfill. That adds a lot of cost into the project. And we have been able to, through our mixed designs with testing in the lab, where they'll grind up the failing asphalt right into the base course that's underneath it, and we'll achieve 500,000 psi, which, compared to top of the line base course going in there at 25,000 psi, we've now solved the problem that caused the road to fail to begin with, without having to import anything. And it would be very rare that we cannot achieve that with just the existing material. So then you're not importing all this extra material. Worst case scenario, oftentimes we can import half of the scheduled base course and mix it into the in situ or native soil, and still achieve a 500,000 psi modules, as compared to importing all of the designed base course, which again is another way that we save money. And then finally, another way that we save money is that we can open up larger sections of the road, and we can get more done in a day. We're going to take a new crew, and we're going to typically get in a minimum of 6/10 to 3/4 of a mile per day, and a seasoned crew can do a mile a day, where soil cement is working with much smaller sections. They're going to be getting a lot less road done per day than we are, because you got a 2-hour window that you got to get it all done before it sets up and creates a problem for you, and you can't get your crown in the road, and these kinds of things. And so, on the average of $30,000 a day for the equipment and labor, if you can save a project 5 days in over soil cement, you just saved another $150,000 in equipment and labor. So these are all things that you need to be well versed in as you're having these conversations. And the most important thing, I think, is, as a business development representative, it can be intimidating to feel like, God, I got to have all these answers and I don't know these things. That's why we do the webinars. Send your people to the webinars. We're doing it every other week. If we get more and more people lined up that are wanting to see these webinars, we'll do it weekly, so they don't have to wait 2 weeks. But you know, the whole point there is that I can answer those questions. I've had the opportunity over the last decade to probably hear them all. Rarely do I hear a question I haven't heard before. And so I know those answers, and I can help you get it to the place where they're like, okay, we want to try this. Let's go test our road. Let's get the soil samples pulled and get them sent into the lab. And you start by getting your client information, road history forms filled out, so we know the names of the players and any information that we can get on the road. And then we get the testing authorization form. And the way that you sell that is that, you know, for every 3 miles of road that we test, it's $2,500 plus the cost just to send the geotech out there and pull all the soil samples and drive them back to the lab or ship them. Typically not going to be over $1,000 for that whole process. So if you're you know, ballparking it, you know, $3,500 for 3 miles worth of testing and a battery of 8 tests, when you compare that to shipping those samples out to any third-party lab, we've gotten pricing from a number of labs. They're all over $10,000. So we're just doing it at cost. You know, you're taking 2 weeks of time in the lab and all the people and the per diem and fuel and stuff to send somebody out to collect these things and GPS map where the soil samples are coming from. All of that is a fraction of the price. And you tell them up front, you know, if we show you and demonstrate that we can get the results that we're saying, and you decide to go forward with the project, there is no cost. The only time that there would be a cost is we go do all that work and tie up our lab for 2 weeks and our geotech for several days to go out and pull the soil samples and drive back. And you say, I was just curious, just wanted to know. Well, then obviously we got to charge you for that. We can't, you know, waste that kind of time and money on people that are curious. And when you say it like that, they like, oh, that makes total sense. I get that. And also, I'll tell you what other guys do that are in the soil stabilization industry is they know that they have a high chance of failure, of the road is not going to work. And so they sell test roads. Hey, let's do a mile or half a mile of test road. And, you know, that half a mile to mile test road, you know, can cost them $75,000 to $300,000 for, you know, a mile chip seal road, you know, minimum. And then that road fails. Look at the cost that it cost them to find out, you know, $7,500 or $75,000 to $300,000 to do a test. When we do the testing in the lab, that is a mini test road. That tells you everything that material is going to do for $3,500, including, you know, the per diem and sending the guy out there for 3 miles of testing. That's a very cheap test road. And you let them understand that. And ultimately what that means when we come out of the lab for any project, once we have achieved the Lithtec minimum performance numbers, and our minimum performance numbers are double, triple the industry numbers. You know, the industry is looking for a 70 CBR. We're looking for a minimum of 150. And most of the time we're going to hit, you know, 300 plus. They're looking for 25,000 PSI in base course. We're going to hit 500,000 PSI. So our minimum performance numbers are very high, way over the industry. How it handles the water, you know, unconfined and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, these are all tools that we want you to have in your toolkit. So I'm going to turn it back over to AAGM, and again, thanks to these guys. We're very excited with the team that they're putting together and the licenses that they're purchasing. Oh, one last point while we're talking about licenses. We've just changed the commission structure on the licenses. It used to be 3% and a 1% override for 10 years. And the problem with the 1% override for 10 years is, you know, what happens if we sell the company in 2, 3, 4, 5 years to someone else? That's that's something that we would have to negotiate that they would honor. Tracking these projects over 10 years is kind of a nightmare. So what we did is we just bumped it to 6% commission on a license. Then our licenses are $1 to $5 million. So that means you're making $60,000 to $300,000 per license. And Fidel Moreno is the gentleman that introduced AAGM to Lithtec Technologies, and so they are in the process of purchasing their fourth license for 2.5 million. And so collectively, that's $10 million for 4 licenses at 2.5. Fidel's commission will be $600,000 for those 4 licenses. And so selling licenses is, you know, we've doubled the commission because that is our model for going forward, is licenses. And as BDRs, you can sell in any state, and those licensees are going to still pay you your commission for any projects, and it counts toward their minimum production that they're required to have of 100 miles every 5 years for each state. The bigger states, Texas is actually 50 miles per year because they have 679,000 miles of roads in Texas, but most of them are at 25 miles a year, and we don't require anything the first year because we know there's a learning curve and getting up to speed and so forth, but then it's 100 miles a year after that. I mean, 25 miles a year after that. So anyway, just wanted to give you that information, and so we've got a number of other licenses that are in process, and so this is the time to think about the people that would be good licensees, and what we're looking for out of licensees are people that are extremely well connected, that they have contacts in that state that we're never going to have, people that are organized and can put a team together to build a company in that state that can produce a lot of miles, and with the license, you have ownership of that license. So the people that develop the market in that area, just one quick story, and I'll turn it back over to these guys, but in California, there's a group called Griffin Soil Group, and they do 90% of all the lime and cement stabilization in California and Nevada. These reclaimers that cost, you know, $500,000 to $750,000 each, they own 60 of them, to give you an idea how big they are and how many crews they can be running simultaneously. And in an effort to control their market, they bought, you know, big silos that they fill with lime and cement. So when prices are going up and down or a shortage, they've got them. The pneumatic tankers that ship the product to the project, they bought all their own pneumatic tankers. They're trying to control their market and have a leg up over anybody else. But in reality, the owner of that company said to me, anybody who buys a reclaimer and a cement spreader truck can go into business against me. And they can go to any cement supplier and any lime supplier, and they can bid on any jobs, and they become my competition. If we build which we already have, if we have a better mousetrap, something that outperforms lime and cement, and you own the license in that state, meaning the only way that anybody's going to be able to get Lithtec from the supplier in the state where somebody owns the license is through the licensee. So in that case, if he owned the license, even if he goes out to bid for a job and doesn't get awarded the job, he still gets to sell the Lithtec to his competitors, which he can't do that in the lime and cement industry. And if he doesn't even want to offer that to his competitors, and he wants to be the only one that can offer Lithtec, then he can completely block out anybody's availability to even get it and control the market that way. And he's doing $50 million a year. So he said, you know, if I just did 10% of my business with Lithtec, $5 million a year, you take a value of that license, it's going to be a minimum of 5 times EBITDA or 10 times EBITDA for a fast growing company or higher. That license is now worth $25 to $50 million for somebody to buy it from him. And so he can retire, and his plan is to, you know, turn over all the equipment and the business to his employees and retain the license if he's the one that ultimately ends up buying it. But I say all this so you have an example of understanding the other values of owning a license is you build that market up and you have something that's extremely valuable, and it's also extremely valuable for the person buying it as they're walking into a business that has established customers and repeat business every year. So anyway, enough said. I've taken a lot of your time. Thanks for letting me join you today, and I'll turn it back over to AAGM.
Well, thank you, Bob. We really appreciate it. I want to share, we're going to be doing a little bit on goals. We don't have much more. It won't take much longer, guys, so hang in there. But we are going to talk a little bit about goal settings and whatnot. And right now, I want to tell you what my goal is, and I want you all to have that same goal, and that is to become as knowledgeable as Bob. And that's a high bar for all of you that have sat through his webinars, but it's really necessary. You know, the sooner we're proficient at this, the better we're going to be, the more we're going to be able to sell. So I really encourage you, even if it's repetition, sign on to those webinars and stick with it till the questions come up, because those questions will get to you. Now, in the interim, it's just not reasonable for us to be in that position yet. We're going to learn over time, but in order to help with that technical knowledge, we're bringing on Mr. Bob Perry, who will talk to us briefly here. I just want to introduce you to him. I'm going to tell you what his role will be for you. So Bob was the former Public Works Director for Archuleta County. He was instrumental in seeing the value of Lithtec and building the first roads in Colorado using the product. This year, they're up to 12 miles, and we'll talk about money too. We'll talk about what that will mean to you. But Bob will be available. You will all have him on speed dial. What you would be doing is at least the day before, if not, give him some lead time. When you know you're going to be in an office with a public works director or you know, a mayor or a city councilman or whoever it is that you're talking to, while we're all getting up to speed, he'll be standing by where you can, you don't have to pretend you don't know something or that you know something. So you'll be able to say, that's a great question. I don't know the answer, but I know who does. So boom, you hit speed dial. Bob knows you're in that meeting, and he's ready to take your call and answer those questions for you. So we'll be having that, you know, and it's going to be a great service to me, because I've already been there, you know, where I don't know that answer yet. So if you just want to say a couple of words, Bob, that'd be great.
This has been really enjoyable, informative, just coming on with you folks. I think probably one of the biggest things that I see, especially at the local government level, is overcoming the status quo bias. You've got companies that do work in these local areas. They're used to doing things one way. They make their money doing it that way. They've got a good situation, and they don't want to see any changes. You have politicians that don't want to take the risk of doing any changes. So the status quo bias is a difficult situation, and you have to give them a reason to do that, and give them some comfort in doing so, that they're not going to do something new and find out that it all falls apart, and then they're going to be looking really bad. So I think that's where I can hopefully help out on that in dealing with some of these people are going to be dealing with, and I'm looking forward to doing that. I know what a difference that this product can make at the county and city level, and it certainly make a huge difference at the state level. But that's a lot. That's another step up in bureaucracy that you have to deal with. But I'm certainly used to working with the county level, and so at any rate, I hope to be of assistance to you and in getting the word out to county public works directors and road supervisors about Lithtec and how they can handle their tremendous amount of roads with a very small budget and be able to get more done with the money they have, and because you can build better roads and they last longer, and so you don't have to spend as much time going back to them. So anyway, that's a little bit about me and what I'd like to do to
Bob,
help you folks. So
Bob, will you be able to give us your contact number now?
yeah, my phone number
I think
is
it's
right
on the
there on the
screen.
page. It's 970-275-2556. And my email address is frontporcheng@gmail.com. It's written right here on the introductions page
Yes,
there.
it's on the screen, so if you want to just take a photo of it, you'll have it.
Yeah,
Well, thank you very much, Bob. We really appreciate you. We know that you're going to be an incredible asset to us. Another asset that we have, we all know Aaron at Lithified. He's great. He's always picks up the phone. He's very knowledgeable and he's helped. But we've got to earn our own, carry our own weight here. And we have a young man that we've hired. He's also good looking. I don't know if you noticed that first picture of me is about 20 years ago. I think I need to get an update, but he actually is handsome. If you want to just say a couple of words to the folks.
Sure. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. My name is Daniel Stephenson. I've been here in Durango for over a decade now, and Mel and Johnny brought me in about 6 weeks. I'm excited to be here. When they started talking to me about the possibility of working with Lithified and also what they were doing in the Four Corners area, I was excited. My role with AAGM is going to be working alongside Mel, and really my success will come from the BDR's success. So if there's anything you need from me, please don't hesitate to contact me. We're going to be doing lead generation, hoping to gather and create meetings for you all. The second thing that we're going to hope to implement in the next couple months, Lithified Technologies has started a CRM system called Builder Trend, and we're hoping to be proficient with that. And that's really going to help the BDRs streamline their territories, their clients, and I think really be organized as we're dealing as you as an individual, as a BDR with your client, but also so we're organized at AAGM Lithtec, and then also that Lithified Technologies it has a clear path of what's going on. So those are the two things for me. You have my contact from my email that I sent out last week. However, Mel and I plan on reaching out to you individually. We've talked to some of you, but we look forward to meeting with you and appreciate you being here.
Thank you, Daniel. So let's go on to the next slide here. And let's talk a little bit about goals and money, okay? Because the way I look at it, if it doesn't make dollars, it doesn't make sense. So we gotta start making money. So I'm going to ask you all to set a goal for yourself, and that goal is to take 3 meetings each month with the goal of one of those becoming your customer. We also, like Daniel just mentioned, will be willing to help with that. We will be able to hopefully start doing some cold calling and maybe setting up meetings where you just have to show up. You're really the number one job of you when you get in front of a decision maker is to get him to that webinar. Because as you know, sitting through that just one time, you know a heck of a lot about Lithtec when you walk away from that meeting. And then, you know, do a follow-up. And you can check in too. You can check with, if you had somebody, you had a meeting, you know that you want to know, did they attend? You can call Aaron and Aaron will be able to tell you whether or not your client attended. Now, remember, that's your client. The minute you get that,
I will be on in 5 minutes period, just finishing up a call with AAGM and all the BDRs.
so that is your client. No other BDR, not AAGM, not Lithified is gonna, you know, usurp that client. That client is yours. So what is it? Let's look at what it means to what this can turn into. Let's look at an actual model of what's happening with Lithified right now. Let's go to the next screen. So how do we get there? So that first mile, and now we have a lot of test roads, so you don't have to, you're not just saying that, oh, just do a test road of 1 mile. Don't limit that. We've got 14-mile roads that you can look at, and they're 4 years old, and look how they're performing. So you're not necessarily saying, give me a 1 mile test road. You know, a 20-mile test road is a lot better, right? Let's not, you know, limit ourselves. But let's look at what's actually happening right now. And what's actually happening from that first mile that gets sold is about a 14x when you combine it all. Let's look at what happened in Pagosa. We're saying Pagosa Springs, but it's actually Archuleta County. But so they started with a mile, then they did 2 miles. Now this year they're going to do 12 miles. San Juan County, Utah, they started with 1 mile. Then they got 4 miles, and they got 22 miles. This is all within a 3-year window. So think in terms of what you're working at. Quay County, 1 mile, 3 miles, 10 miles. These are all super satisfied customers who each year are just, they're going to say, my budget is this much. That's how many miles we're doing this year. And all you'll be doing at that point is taking that call and turning it over to Lithified. So all your investment and time is really in that first mile, getting that first mile. Okay, let's look at what that translates into in terms of dollars for you. Okay, so that first year in Pagosa, you would have got a check for $4,000, right? That's not a lot of money, but it doesn't hurt. Now, I think everyone knows about our vesting process, but if not, there might be somebody on here that doesn't know. But we're paying BDRs at 2 different scales. Okay, one is the traditional scale that Lithified technology uses, and that's $4,000 a mile, roughly, depending on dosage and those other things. Just to keep the math easy. Now, vested BDRs earn $6,000 a mile. And that's why we have these 2, we have 4 and we have 6. So to become vested, there's 2 ways to become vested. The easiest way is know somebody with a lot of money. And let's say, for example, you bring somebody in and they invest $200,000 with us. When that happens, you would suddenly be vested. Or you could bring $20,000 and invest in the company. You would not only get bumped to $6,000 a mile, you would also receive your share of the profits from AAGM Lithtec. Okay, so I hope everybody understands that. And we're not looking for these small investments. We really aren't for our BDRs to put 20,000 down and do that. We'd much rather see you bring an investor, but it's available to you. And it's not very many miles where you've paid that off, that 20,000 plus, you'd be getting a percentage of the company. So if we take that, the next year it's 8,000 or 12,000. By year 3, you're talking about $40,000 to $60,000 for that one client that you might have spent, and you might have spent an hour in their office first time, then a couple of follow-ups, and then maybe you went out when the test road went. You don't have to, but you go out and shake your customer's hand and show support. And then, so let's say we do that goal that we set to get those 3 meetings to get 1 customer. So if you had these 2 counties, or I guess it's 3 counties, they were all actually county jobs. We just have Pagosa there. If you look over, you'll see that you're talking about making 6 figures within 3 years, $168,000 just if you're not vested, and $252,000 if you are vested, right? I mean, that's real money where I come from. I'm not sure for everybody, but for me it is. So let's go on to the next one. Okay, we're just gonna open it up a little bit. Question, I want you to know too, we're gonna try and have these things twice a month. They won't run as long as this one. But one of the other things, I'm not putting anybody on the spot today, but one of the other things that we're going to want to do is we're going to do a debriefing. So we're going to ask everybody to come and say, okay, who did I see? Where did I go? Who did I call? I need this. This is going to be your time, and this is going to be how we're going to support you. But having, the one thing is if we look at each other more as a team, and many of our BDRs are already starting to form relationships and partnerships, and they're already not looking at each other as competition, but rather as mutual aid. And we encourage that. And we're going to support you guys with everything we can. But just know the next time in our next meeting, because hopefully you're going to set that goal today. There's no time like today to set a goal and go after it. Say, how do I have 3, we're luckily we're right at the end of the month. So July, how do I get in front of 3 people and 3 decision makers? Set that goal and come back and tell us in our next meeting, where are you at that? And that's going to help. That's really going to help you. I'm not trying to burden anybody. But it's also there's a little friendly rivalry is doesn't hurt either. To say, man, that guy's really out there getting those meetings. What do I need to do to be doing that? So we'll take any questions that you have now, and then we'll end. Okay, well.
Mel, I did want to say a few things. This is
Sure,
Mac.
go ahead, Max. And introduce yourself, Max, and let everybody know that doesn't know who you are and what you do for Lithtec.
Yeah, I'm Max Sherwin. I am Bob's nephew. I've been working with the company as a BDR for about a year, and then I've been on full time since the start of the year. But I've really watched this company grow for the last 10 years and been very closely tied to it, and seeing everything that Bob's done to get us to this point. And I've met a couple of you, Brian and Mel, and so just really excited to be working with you guys. We're really happy to be partnering with the right team, and you guys appear to be that. So a few things I wanted to just highlight from everyone else's perspective here is, this industry and this product has a lot of nuance. And like Mel said, to be a product knowledge specialist is huge, and to be an industry specialist is going to be huge. And I think that's where Bob Perry is going to be a big asset for you guys. And my role is internal sales and account management. So I'm going to be working very closely with you guys. I've been working with Brian and with Todd, who's not with us today, but just to be a point of contact, to answer questions, to find you guys answers, to make sure we on the Lithtec side are delivering in a timely manner for your projects, and just making sure things are running smoothly, and we're all doing the best we can. So obviously the beauty of this product compared to anything else is the testing and the formulation that we do. Whether or not price is what we're selling on, we can sell on the assurity of knowing exactly what you're going to be getting, and the comparison to the rest of the industry. So looking forward to meeting with any and all of you individually, and in these monthly or twice a month meetings. And I think it's going to be a really good thing. I think we all see the huge opportunity that this product and this company presents everybody. So just looking forward to working with you guys, and of course, never talk past the sell.
Great, thanks, Max. Anybody else?
Yeah, this is Aaron. I would like to share with you, Brian, you did ask a question about the price list for licensees, and I've just formulated that from Bob's list. So I will send that out today after this meeting, and you'll have the current sizes and values for your review.
Excellent, thank you.
Sure. And also, Brian, I know you've asked for some help with mining. Rio Tinto has, we've had our guys out there. I unfortunately have not been able to go by their decision of who can go. Our techs can go, but marketing is limited because of the restrictions on their canvas, on their properties. But we have been able to get some pictures, and I just got this morning approval to share what the geotechs did come up with, and I'll be sending that to you also. Bob had asked me to incorporate a piece in the video. It's a short clip, and what we really want to do is wait until the chip seal has been put on. It'll probably be put on next week when we can acquire an after shot. So that way, when somebody looks at a project, they really get the concept, because it just makes a better presentation. So what I'm sharing with you is I'll send you what I have, but I'm also going to revise it and update it, and just be aware that what I send you secondarily will be probably a better presentation value, but it'll get you going. Okay. Also,
sounds good. Thank you, Aaron.
Oh, you're quite welcome. And also, our total intention, as Max was responding to, is that we're here for you, and to make sure that anything that we can do can be the highest integrity, so that way your clients give you the credibility that you deserve. We've worked a long time. I've been with it for 8 years, and I've seen it go from research and development to where we are. And you have a distinctive advantage, because you're at a starting point for yourself, but you're not at a starting point for proof of the pudding. And a lot of people like to see that. And so you have a lot of different tools to show, share, and tell. And I think everybody's point of view during this call and the webinars from Bob certainly support all of the different dynamics that you're wanting to get across. And the more you hear what those are, you'll be able to repeat them. So what my recommendation would be is that if you take the literature that has bullet points, benefits, advantages, various different attributes, and use those as your cheat notes, as it were. So, if you're getting on the phone and you're talking, you've got it right in front of you. All you have to do is repeat what you're reading, and it's there, and selectively. So that would be my recommendation there. In terms of the videos, we have everything on YouTube, and you have a collection of videos in your flash drives that have been supplied. Now I update that information usually on a monthly basis, maybe every other month, just depending upon what's being added. And that would be in terms of the different collateral as well as the videos. So when you get updates, please replace what you have, because you want to use the most up-to-date information that we're adding or putting out or revising. So we're really happy that you're here. It shifts the gears for many more people to have success. And that's what it's all about. You're going to be celebrating. I just tell you right now. And from having seen Bob Perry come from his position with Archuleta, from his background, he is a great asset. Walter's a great asset as a contractor. I mean, we got some really good heavy hitters that are supporting your agenda. So please feel free to ask questions as you have been, continue that. And the biggest thing is that I don't know everything. I bring in a piece that serves what qualities I've learned for the last 40, 50 years in advertising and publishing and all that good stuff. So I can help you there. But if I don't know something from what I've learned, I'm happy to get the right person involved. So that way you get the best that there is. I'm not going to give you a faked out answer. I'm going to give you the real deal. So that's all I have to say. And I really appreciate you being here.
Thanks, Aaron. Anybody else? Okay, we'll conclude now. I'm going to have Daniel send you each this PowerPoint. That way you will, you'll have everybody's information. If you didn't write down early on, we'll send this out to you, and that way you can have everybody's contact information. I'm not sure, we're going to probably do every 2 weeks, bi-monthly somehow. We'll see, and then we might shift. You know, I think as we get going, we don't need to be redundant. So those of you that are here from the start might only take one meeting a week, and we'll do one for new people that come on to work with us, and one for all of you. But just come prepared next time. I hope you'll set those goals for yourself, and you'll come and tell us what you were able to do. So thanks for all your time, gentlemen. We sure appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Looking forward to working with everyone.
Yes, that's great.
Thank you, Mel, Johnny.